This video is brought to you in collaboration with wowhead.com. Hello everyone! Patch 7.1 introduced the Trial of Valor raid, the conclusion of the story between Odyn and Helya. Before we talk about the raid though, let's first talk about the history between these two characters for those that missed out. Odyn is a Titan Keeper, created by the Titans and empowered by Aman'Thul to battle with the Old Gods and bring order to the planets. The Old Gods were sent out into the universe to infect planets and hopefully hitting those with a Titan spirit inside so they could corrupt it before it was even born and bring destruction to the universe. With Azeroth, they hit the jackpot, and although the Titans were far more powerful than the Old Gods were, they feared that unleashing their own might upon the world would do more damage to the planet. That's why keepers like Odyn, imbued with a portion of their power, were created. They will battle with the Black Empire, and in response, the Old Gods send out their enslaved elemental lords, namely Val'kyr the Wind Lord, Ragnaros the Fire Lord, Pharazôn the Stone Mother, and Neptulon the Tide Hunter. The battles were absolutely furious, raged on for many weeks, yet in the end, the elemental lords were defeated. The keepers knew that they couldn't simply slay the elemental lords, since they were bound to Azeroth and would return over time. It was Keeper Ra who decided that instead they should create a prison for the elements. With the aid of the gifted Titanforged sorceress Helya, they worked on creating 4 interlinked domains within a pocket dimension called the Elemental Plane, an enchanted prison realm. Each element was sent to their own domain. You had the Firelands, you had Deepholm, the Abyssal Maw, and Skywall. With the greatest lieutenants that the Old Gods had to send at them out of the way, the Keepers continued the war against the Black Empire, until eventually the only one left standing was the Old God Yogg-Saron. He unleashed the greatest of his generals, the Kefraxi, monstrous warbringers, larger and more resilient than the other faceless ones. They possess great strength and intellect. Their dark powers could drive even the Titanforged to madness, and at the crack of the whip, the remaining Black Empire was sent into a frenzy. They assaulted the Titanforged on all sides, filling their ranks, and by the time that the Keepers actually reached Yogg-Saron, their forces had already greatly diminished. They no longer had the strength or numbers to complete their mission, but Titan Keeper Odyn was not about to give up. He summoned his waning strength and inspired them all to launch a counterattack. Titan Keeper Loken, he was commanded to weave a grand illusion spell that forced the Kefraxi to see themselves and even their creator Yogg-Saron as the enemy. With the Black Empire turned upon itself, the Titanforged moved in for the kill. As they had done before with Kefun and Zoth, the Keepers buried Yogg-Saron beneath the earth, locking it away in an enchanted prison. For the first time in Azeroth's history, a sense of peace settled over the world, but they don't call it Warcraft for nothing, and it would not last. In time, Titan Keeper Tyr realized that they could use more help with safeguarding the world against threats. He suggested that they should empower 5 proto-dragons, those who had proven themselves by defeating Galakrond, and turn them into the dragon aspects. The other keepers, they were on board with this plan, all of them except for Odyn, who thought that this was a very bad idea. He saw the proto-dragons as simple primitive life forms, and only the mighty Titanforged could be trusted with protecting the world. The other keepers didn't listen to him. They went ahead with giving the blessing of the Titans to the aspects, and this pissed off Odyn. Being the Prime Designate, the leader of the Titanforged on Azeroth, he believed that they should follow his lead on this, and yet they didn't listen, so he went ahead with forging his own plans. Believing that the aspects would eventually fail, he created an elite army of his own. He was not against the other keepers, he actually welcomed them to join him, but the keepers saw this as a foolish plan and they demanded Odyn to stop. His mind was made up though, and with the help of Helya, who Odyn over the ages had begun to see as his adopted daughter, they lifted part of Ulduar into the sky and they called it the Halls of Valor. From his new domain, Odyn proclaimed to the Vrykul down below that any who would prove themselves worthy by dying in glorious battle, they would live again in the Halls of Valor. Their spirits would be taken to the fortress and given mighty Stormforged bodies to become Val'kyr, Azeroth's foremost guardians. By studying the energies from a realm called the Shadowlands, Odyn somehow figured out how to transport these spirits back to his halls, but none of the Vrykul were very eager to step up and live as a Val'kyr, cursed to be a phantom being guiding the souls between the Shadowlands and the physical world. Since none of them volunteered, Odyn decided that he would enforce the job upon some poor soul, which Helya did not agree with. They ended up in a heated argument in which the two of them nearly came to blows, but in the end, Helya warned Odyn that she would return the Halls of Valor to Ulduar if he did not change his mind. With those words, Odyn had found his victim. He saw Helya as a threat not only to his own plans, but to the very safety of Azeroth, so he struck out. He shattered her physical form and twisted her spirit into the first of the Val'kyr. Helya screamed, a tormented cry which could be heard all the way into Shadowlands, but this violent transformation it was just the start. She loathed Odyn for what he had done to her, but she also found herself unable to disobey his orders. As he commanded, Helya went out to transform more unwilling Val'kyr into the cursed Val'kyr. For ages, she and those unfortunate enough to join her, they were the ones who brought the souls of heroic Val'kyr to the Halls of Valor. Once there, Odyn took these souls and trained and empowered each of them. He had no remorse for breaking from the Keepers or for transforming Helya into the first of the Val'kyr. In his mind, everything he had done was for the safety of Azeroth and in honor of the great titans of the Pantheon. However, Odyn would soon regret the choice he had made, as Titan Keeper Loken, he fell to the old god Yogg-Saron's corruption and began to see the other keepers as his enemy. He approached Helya with a deal. He will set her free from Odyn's control, and in exchange she would use her powers to lock Odyn and all those who followed him away within the Halls of Valor. Still enraged about what Odyn had done to her, Helya gladly accepted the deal. She used her magic in a similar way as she had done when she'd helped create the elemental plane, and now Odyn and his mighty Val'kyr, they struggled desperately to escape their floating citadel, but not even their might was enough to break the barrier, and for many years they would be imprisoned within the Halls of Valor. Helya herself was now free from her life of servitude, and she decided to forge a new home for herself and the other Val'kyr. Far below the Halls of Valor, she created a domain called Helheim, bound to Azeroth's great seas, which would act as a final destination for many of the Val'kyr spirits after death. Yet the darkness that had made their home in Helya's heart, it transformed her created realm into a place of nightmare and shadow. The souls of the dead Val'kyr who arrived at Helheim, they found themselves turned into the vengeful beings called Val'kyr. Now not all of the Val'kyr stayed with Helya after Odyn's defeat. Some of them disappeared into the Shadowlands, while a few of them, they still had a glimmer of nobility in their souls, and they dedicated themselves to watching over the physical world. From within the Shadowlands, these Val'kyr would at times guide the dead back to the land of the living. So that's the history behind these two characters, and with Legion, we got the party in Stormheim, prove ourselves time and time again to gain access into the Halls of Valor. We once again proved ourselves time and time again to obtain the Aegis of Agromar. We even ventured into Helheim itself, Helya's domain, and there we found War Chief Sylvanas Windrunner, who made some sort of bargain with the Queen of the Underworld. She obtained a lantern, which she tried to use on Eir, a Titan Watcher, with the powers to transform others into Val'kyr. She would have gotten away with it as well, was it not for the meddling Alliance and Gang Greymane, who stopped her, and then Eir, she returned to the Halls of Valor. It's uncertain what kind of deal Sylvanas had made, but I think it's safe to say that in the end, she simply wanted Eir's powers, or Eir herself, to make more Val'kyr, which in turn would allow her to make more Forsaken and keep her out of hell. We put a stop to those plans, while in the Halls of Valor itself, we found Eir empowering Hersha, who in life was a warrior without equal, defending the Valkyria from all sorts of threats.
Through great deeds of courage and valor, Hersha has earned this most sacred of rights. She shall ascend as one of my chosen Val'kyr, and her name shall echo in these gilded halls for all eternity.
Are you nervous, Hersha? It is understandable if...
I am not nervous, only excited. All my life has led to this one glorious moment.
The Dungeon Journal describes being turned into a Val'kyr as a great reward, a great honor, which is quite a change from the days that Helya was forced into servitude. Either way, we overcame all the challenges in front of us. We obtained the Pillar of Creation, but Odyn and his troops, they were still locked away within the Halls of Valor, unable to leave, while Helya, she's still ruling from her throne in Helheim. Time to change all of that, as Munin, one of Odyn's ravens, shows up in Dalaran to let us know that Odyn is looking for us. It's time to hear another tale, and while we listen, we pour the man some grog.
For eons, Helya has been building an army, stealing the souls of fallen Val'kyr to oppose the Val'kyr. I suspect the Sea Witch grows impatient, eager to begin her campaign by conquering the Broken Isles. Helya's foul magics trap Odyn and hinder the Val'kyr. We need champions like you to stop her advances. Helya must be stopped. The time has come for a reckoning.
Before we act, we have to gather more information onto what Helya's planning, so we move out to the Tidescorn harbor and we scout her forces.
Helya has taken the souls of those Val'kyr? Impossible! Strike her mystics down, then return to me.
She has forced Odyn's hand, and it's time to deal with that treacherous witch. This wouldn't be a quest given by Odyn if there wasn't some sort of trial first, so we're invited into the Halls of Valor, where he will test the strength of our will.
Champions, you have spilled the blood of Helya's minions. The time has come to enter Helheim itself and end the Sea Witch's dark reign. But first, our final challenge. Heimdall! Helya! Test the mettle of these mortals. I must be certain they possess the courage and skill needed for what is to come. Shall we be lenient with these pets of yours, Odyn? Hold nothing back. I must know they are ready for the task ahead.
So be it! The unworthy shall be purged from the Halls of Valor!
The battle is yours to begin, heroes.
None can stand against Ayr's chosen!
Only cowards fear the call of battle!
After bringing down both Helya and Heimdall low enough, they jump up to watch the next part of the battle as Odyn himself enters the fray.
Well done, so far. But I will judge for myself whether you are worthy.
The full might of a Titan Keeper is unleashed upon us. This time there's no holding back as swords come out of the ground, light orbs float about. In the midst of battle, tests are handed out where you have to move and slay the correct rune bearers upon the corresponding runes, and even the entire battlefield is bathed in cleansing flame. All Odyn has to offer is thrown against us, and we prove our worth once more. We are capable, and we're ready to be his champions in Helheim.
Enough! Your worth is proven. With you as my champions, Helya will fall, and I will at long last be free of the curse that binds me here.
With Odyn's blessing, the power to defeat her is ours, and while defeating Helya is the primary objective, he also requests for us to recover the lost souls of his greatest Val'kyr. Out of the Halls of Valor, way up high, we crashed into Hauswald, and we fight our way into Helheim itself.
Beware, champions. Helya's realm is guarded by a savage beast, bred from the stuff of nightmares.
Last time we were here, we were forced to sneak past Gwarm, Helya's vicious three-headed hound that stand guard at the gates of Helheim. Bred to require neither comfort nor sleep, Gwarm remains ever watchful for any invaders who come to challenge the reign of his cruel mistress. He's a cute three-headed puppy, but he is in our way, so we take him out and we focus our attention on Helya.
Oh no! Odyn's mighty champions have come to end my reign. Whatever shall I do?
Though she once served as Odyn's right hand, the vengeful Helya will stop at nothing to ensure her ancient curse binds the Titan Keeper to the Halls of Valor. No longer satisfied with just ruling her shadowy realm, Helya now commands her vast cavalry army to plague the lands of the living.
Come, mortals. You have earned an eternity of torment.
In the battle, she uses her supernatural powers to conjure orbs, taint foes, breathe sludge, and crush her enemies.
Drown in despair, lapdogs of Odyn!
After taking enough damage, she departs beneath the sea, assaulted the raid from afar with her denizens of Helheim, or ocean waves from the Maw of Souls. Riding upon those waves are ships filled with her troops. She's literally throwing ships at us now, and defeating her tentacles wounds her, causing her to return to the shore.
Your efforts are for naught, mortals! Odyn will never be free!
Helya then orders the last stand of Helheim, invoking both the minions of Helheim and her supernatural powers until her inevitable defeat.
Damn you! Odyn! Damn you!
My ancient nemesis has been vanquished! The curse that bound me to the Halls of Valor is broken at last! Revel in the spoils of victory, worthy champions! The day will come when I have need of your courage and skill once more. Many ages have passed since my eyes looked upon the halls of Ulduar. Perhaps I should visit my Watcher King. We have much to speak of. Farewell.
It's done. Helya's reign has come to an end, and now we move forward. We have done a great thing today, and we can consider ourselves counted amongst those in the Halls of Valor. At least, that's what the quest text says, but have we truly done a great thing here today? The chronicles set up the relationship between Odyn and Helya of one where Odyn caused it to happen. He refused to listen to the other keepers. He forced Helya to become a Val'kyr and obey his orders, and for all of that, she imprisoned him and the Val'kyr within the halls. Now I can understand that things can change over the years, but there's really no mention whatsoever about Odyn changing his mind, him showing regret for anything, or even a mention of what he did to Helya. Going purely from what's told in-game, all you can see is that Helya is this evil witch, and Odyn is in need of champions that do what he wants, no questions asked. I really wish that they would have done more with this story arc, and then of course there's the storyline of Sylvanas, the Val'kyr, and Eir. When Sylvanas picks up the item in Helheim, Helya tells her,
Remember our bargain, Banshee. Do not dare cross me.
What was the bargain that they made? Clearly Sylvanas needed the power from Helya to subjugate Eir, but what did Helya want in return? That's now something that we'll most likely never get an answer to, which I think is a real shame. I would have loved to see more story between the Banshee Queen and Helya, perhaps dive into the reason as to why the Val'kyr support her in the first place, what the motivation is to take Sylvanas' place in Hell, was it even a hell that Sylvanas witnessed, or was it the old gods messing with her mind? Perhaps I simply imagined too many possibilities as to where the story could go, or perhaps there's still a sliver of hope as to what the story might bring. Odyn mentioned that perhaps we'll go and visit the other keepers in Ulduar. Now during the Legion pre-event quest, we joined Khadgar and Brian Bronzebeard on their journey into Ulduar, where they were going to talk with Magni Bronzebeard. Magni, now returned in his crystallized form, he's speaking on behalf of the Titan spirit resting inside of Azeroth. It was there that we learned that Yogg-Saron's corruption is not entirely contained. Keep in mind that I'm just speculating now, so it's not set in stone, but we do have a couple of whispers from Il'gynoth, Heart of Corruption, found within the Emerald Nightmare raid.
5 keys to open our way. 5 torches to light our path. The Lord of Ravens will turn the key.
Some said that the Lord of Ravens could be about Odyn, and now that he's free to leave the Halls of Valor again, it could be he who will use those 5 keys, the 5 pillars of creation, to light their path.
Flesh is his gift. He is your true creator. Her heart is a crater, and we have filled it. The King of Diamonds has been made a pawn.
The Curse of Flesh is what the old gods used to weaken the Titan Force creations and make them more vulnerable to their corruption. This, for example, turned the Earthen into the dwarves, while Magni Bronzebeard, he used an ancient Titan ritual to communicate with the land. Instead of just communicating though, he became one with the land. He turned to a crystal, where he then made contact with the Titan soul inside of Azeroth. Her heart is a crater, the old gods have filled it, and the King of Diamonds had been made a pawn. Thinking that he's working towards the best interest for Azeroth by following the Titan soul's words, but what he's actually doing is listening to the old gods who have already corrupted her.
At the hour of her third death, she ushers in our coming.
Who is this she that they're talking about? One name that comes to mind is of course Sylvanas Windrunner, who died for the first time at the hands of Arthas, was then turned to a Banshee, and she plotted her revenge. She got exactly that at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, to which she tossed herself from the top of Icecrown all the way down below, where her body burst on the Serenite stones with a crushing finality. Serenite, the blood of the old god Yogg-Saron. She then ended up in Hell, where eternal torment was waiting for her. She could even sense a familiar presence, that of Arthas Menethil, the boy who would be Lich King, just a scared little blonde child, reaping the aftermath of a lifetime of mistakes. If any part of Sylvanas' soul were not at that moment torn and tormented, she might have even felt, for the first time, the slightest glimmer of pity for him. Then, a bargain with the Val'kyr was made. They would take her place in Hell, allowing her to return to Azeroth, and even granted the power to create more Forsaken. In exchange for this, the Val'kyr would follow her lead, and they would be free from Bolvar, the new Lich King's control. She then died a third time, shot by Lord Godfrey during the Forsaken starting area, but some suggested that her third death, that is counted from the time that she is a Banshee. Some have also suggested that the hell she witnessed was never actually real. Instead it was Yogg-Saron playing with her mind since he landed on Serenite, his blood. There's also the connection with the Val'kyr and the Lich King, since a vision in Yogg-Saron's mind is suggested that he's influencing the Lich King.
I am not afraid of you! I will break you as I broke him. Your life, Shulana! You will learn. No king rules forever. Only death is eternal.
So if the her that they're talking about is truly Sylvanas, then why would her third death usher in their coming? Has she too been made a pawn of the old gods through the Val'kyr? Was the only reason that they kept her alive for so long just so she could die at the right time? Who were the spirits that whispered to Vol'jin a name that made Sylvanas the war chief? It's very hard to say at this point, and again, it's all just speculation, but when it comes to the Odyn Helya story arc, I fear that this is it, and I was kinda hoping for more. But what can you do? Time will tell what the story is going to bring. For now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you want some more information on Helya, Odyn, and the Trial of Valor, check out a link to a related Wowhead article in the description, where you could browse at your leisure, check out more information, check the website out. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, guys, see ya!